Test 1 2, Josh or Jesse. This is Chris back in the studio. I'm just testing to see if you guys are able to hear us. Just a heads up, we have started our YouTube live stream, but we are still 6 minutes away from showtime. 6 minutes away from showtime, but if you can hear us, we have started our YouTube live stream, and I'm just testing to see if you are able to hear us.
Yeah, good, go. You guys go, Jack.
So you don't think so? Just outside, maybe? Okay. That's what I thought, too. Thanks. I appreciate you. Sure. Should I call Chris and see if they're able to toggle between these shots?
They could, yeah. Can you tell Chris to give you like a little audio check?
Don't worry about that one, bud.
I'm sorry to bug you so close to the show. We're trying to make this happen. Question for you. They just set up the press.
I don't want to, but I can.
Are you able to toggle between Jesse's shot
Let me know
and
when.
Eli's shot? Perfect. So then what we might do, because obviously I want to listen to the press conference, what we might do, assuming the press conference hasn't started, is I will go live from here. But then if they come up to talk to the podium, I'll just be like, Chris, they're going to talk. I'm going to head over to here, and I know you guys are doing the same, or something like that. Does that work for you? Sweet.
All right, test 1 2, test 1 2. Josh Rosenthal, this is Chris and Tony P back in the studio. Can you hear us?
Hey, Chris and Tony P.
Yep.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah. Can you just talk into your mic for 1 second so I can regulate the audio?
Sure. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. We're at the intersection of Reservoir and Foxhall Roads.
Oh yeah,
This is the.
All right, we got you.
block of
We got you.
Foxhall.
We're 3
All right,
minutes.
thank you very much.
3 minutes till showtime. 3 minutes till showtime. I'm going to close your mic and ours.
You can't hear me, but you can hear me.
I can hear you.
It's a little loud.
If you're talking to me, I can
Check
hear you.
1 2 3. 1 2 3. 4 5 6 7 8.
1 minute till showtime. 1 minute till showtime.
Yeah, sure.
All right, it's 9 o'clock on this Friday night. That means it's time for the live zone prime time.
We're
I'm
in the
producer
zone,
Chris.
baby.
This is Tony P, and we want to get right to some breaking news that's happening right now in Northwest DC, a police-involved shooting. We don't have a ton of details. We can just tell you that this is happening near the Georgetown neighborhood along the 4400 block of Reservoir Road. You see Josh Rosenthal. They're live on the scene. He joins us now live to give us an update on what's happening, what he's learned so far. Josh, can you hear me?
Hey, Chris, yeah, I got you. So let me kind of lay it all out for you. I'm currently standing at the intersection of Reservoir and Vauxhall Road. If you look over here to my left, you can see there's a podium set up. There's a lot of media assembled. Basically, any minute now, we are waiting to hear from police. And forgive me, guys, I'm going to take my earbuds out because I'm getting some pretty serious mixed minus here. So if you ask me questions, I may not be able to hear you, and I apologize for that. But we're standing at the intersection of Reservoir and Foxhall Roads to give you a better idea of where this area is. I would say we're kind of just outside of Georgetown. This is the Foxhall Village area, and we're actually very close to both the German and French embassies. If you look down here behind me, this is the 4400 block of Reservoir Road. You can see that police appear to be primarily focused over there by there's a sign that says hidden entrance. That's where I would say we've seen the most activity. We've been here on scene for about 20 minutes. As far as confirmed information goes, police tell us that there was an officer-involved shooting here. They tell us that an adult male was transported to the hospital with injuries. We do not know his condition at this time. We do know that no MPD officers, DC police officers, were injured. Otherwise, though, a lot of details that we're waiting to get confirmed. As I said earlier, we're waiting for this press conference. So, again, apologies, because I'm not going to be able to hear you if you have questions for me. But I do want to throw it back so we can get ready for that. As you can see behind me, though, very active scene. As soon as we get any additional information, guys, we're going to bring it to you.
All right, Josh Rosenthal out there.
Josh.
Thank you for rolling with the punches. I know we've got an imperfect system here sometimes, Josh, so
Sometimes.
I do appreciate it. But we are standing by for that press conference. Like you heard Josh say, one person hurt, taken to the hospital, no injuries to any DC police officers. This is right near Georgetown Hospital. If you're familiar with the area between Foxhall Road, Reservoir Road, there are road closures in the area. You see the police presence out there. You see the podium set up. Tony P, obviously a very busy area of the city.
Yes.
So,
It's a main artery.
a main artery.
I mean,
yeah.
it absolutely is, and it's where Georgetown coming in through Arlington, you're kind of going back towards what I would call our kind of historic downtown, where you have all the memorials, the monuments, and the museums, and a lot of that kind of the cultural hub, and a lot of folks. Do activities down there. Volo leagues are running. You do go on the waters. A lot of commotion there. This is a very scary situation. It looks at the moment that things are somewhat calmer. and the police have this under control. But again, we don't have a lot of information, so I don't want to analyze or speculate about what could possibly have happened
Of
here.
course,
But that can be
yeah.
a very, very scary moment, especially on a Friday night. A lot of the college kids from Georgetown, GW, they all usually they kind of commandeer that area. I was going to say coagulate. That's
Very
kind of a weird
much
word. They commandeer around this area. They're going out for the night, and it's getting towards that timing, so it could be very, very scary. A lot of folks could have been down there at that moment in time.
that's
so
right.
very scary. So we pray for everybody involved and hope that there's a swift resolution to this.
Yeah, so like Tony said, we're not going to speculate, but we will keep an eye on what's happening. We're keeping an eye on that podium. In the meantime,
Yes.
when officials come to that podium, we will bring you that press conference live. In the meantime, though, we do want to move on with the show. It is a busy Friday night, as you know, but we are keeping a look in that lower third and that lower
Absolutely.
box down there. Lower third.
Remember
Look at
that?
me speaking.
Yeah, it's
in
kind of third, yeah.
Some classic news speak. All right, in the meantime,
love
though,
it.
we do want to get to our other big story that we were planning on talking about here off the top of the show, and that is, of course, the 43-day government shutdown
Still
has
here.
now been over for a little less than 48 hours, and now things are starting to get back to normal-ish around the region and around the country. Earlier tonight, we're looking at airport video because the FAA said it would roll back some flight restrictions. Currently, 40 airports under mandatory 6% flight reduction orders. Starting tomorrow at 6 a.m., though, that goes down to 3%. Now, remember, it was originally supposed to go up to 10% around this time
right.
if the government had not reopened. However, more air traffic controllers have started reporting to work. More air traffic controllers are getting their paychecks, hopefully soon. And so as a result, they were able to roll back some of those flight restrictions.
Exactly,
Tony Pig.
right. And here's the thing. I mean, I'm actually going to finally book my flight for home. I haven't even done that yet because I was waiting. We talked to an aviation
Yeah,
expert last
obviously
week
it's
and
such a
said,
busy time of year.
wait 4 to 5 days, and I had to wait till those points from my last billing cycle came into the account so I
guy.
could do it. So again, I had to kind
Full.
of wait. It's all about smoothing it and timing it. But when you look at this situation, I think with this kind of rollback of the cut, basically going to be in half by next week, I think we'll be okay for the holiday season. What's going to be interesting is how do the airlines respond at that surge from, I would say, Tuesday night into Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, the 26th and the 27th. That'll be very, very interesting to see how does air traffic control handle that influx of people again now that everybody's back online? How do the airlines handle it? Because it's all a system. And we've learned about this for the last 43 days, how interconnected the pilots are and the folks on the ground, the engineers that have to work. That's all tied to federal employees and the government shutdown. And this is why you saw the airlines be so heavily involved. Their unions, their trade organizations and lobbyists, because this is a cascading effect, and it's still happening. And so do I sense that it's going to be a normal Thanksgiving travel season? No.
No, not at all.
I think you might see some potential disruption. I don't want to scare anybody, but you could see some potential disruptions from the airlines and for some of the issues with air traffic control, depending on
Yeah.
how many folks get back online, when does that number go to zero, and there's still that lingering effect that's going to be there. So I'm
In the
fascinated to
meantime,
see what this looks like.
Darlene asking in the YouTube chat what's going on and where. If you are just joining us, there was a officer-involved shooting in the Georgetown area of D.C., Northwest Washington, 4400 block of Reservoir Road. We are standing by for a press conference that's in
Yes.
that bottom lower corner. As soon as it begins, we will take it to you live. In the meantime, Tony P., more federal workers and contractors back at work today, and some of Washington's top tourist attractions reopened their doors. That includes
yes.
the Air and Space Museum, the Udvar Hazy Museum out near Dulles Airport, and the Museum of American History. Tomorrow, the Museum of African American History and Culture will reopen, along with the National Zoo. I know a lot of people have been waiting for that one, get to see those pandas. The panda cams will be back online as well.
Okay.
The Natural History Museum also set to open tomorrow as well. All the rest will reopen by Monday on a rolling basis, but just a heads up, if you are planning a visit, food service offerings may still be
Yeah.
limited, okay? They're getting back up to
That's a
speed.
major part of logistics.
The Smithsonian also says, though, it has taken a hit financially from the shutdown. More than half of the Smithsonian's funding comes from what are called non-appropriated sources. Think things like the gift shop, the IMAX theater out at Dulles as well. They've lost important revenue, so there is some catching up to do as well there.
Right. Now, what was really interesting this morning, so I live kind of near the Smithsonian quadrant, I'd call it, of all the museums on the row there, or Museum Row, we could call it. And there were lines upon lines outside at 10 a.m. this morning outside the American History Museum. It was backed up to the sidewalk. And
That
people
doesn't
were,
shock me.
and you could
People
hear the
have been
cheers when the
waiting.
door, I literally walked by it, and you could see the door open, and the cheers were just going on throughout. People are so happy to be back and seeing the museums. I love them, especially when I have a little bit of time during shows and other things. I love to go and see those wonderful museums and go take a look at the new exhibits. They have a really cool ship, one of the first ships of the American Revolutionary period. It's actually one of the first ones in the. They were going with the Delaware River. George Washington, that big scene where he's in the
Yep.
when he's carrying the flag and he's in that boat. That boat's actually being renovated and preserved, and they have a really cool exhibit where you can look inside and watch the scientists and the not paleontologists. I'm not really good at my science and math, but the folks that are good at
We're
that.
going to talk math a little
The
later.
folks that are good
Don't
at
you
that,
worry.
they're doing all their work, and it's just so cool to see it up close. So hopefully again they get that work going back again, and I love the Air and Space Museum. That's always a great place to learn about aeronautics and space, and it just people love being in the Smithsonian quadrant because of the wonderment that comes with it. That you get to learn so many great things. You don't have to pay for it. It's all covered by the tax base. I think it's one of our shining crown jewels, if you will, in the country.
Plus pandas. People
Right.
can't get enough pandas.
I mean, magical back to work on a Saturday though. That's a
Well,
little. I mean, that's
Some of the employees
Okay.
taking care of those animals never stopped,
That's
obviously.
true.
So, Tony P., in the meantime, we're
Yes.
still standing by for that press
Yes.
conference. When it happens, we will bring it to you live. But in the meantime,
ooh.
talk to me about what you've been watching.
I am
today.
cooking, my friends, on this Friday night. So in Washington, the White House announced today that President Trump will convene a national housing summit next month with governors from every state. The focus will be on boosting affordable housing production, reducing permitting delays, and directing new federal resources into regions facing severe shortages. Officials say it will be the first coordinated federal-state housing strategy in more than a decade. Very important for us Gen Zers looking to afford a house, and millennials as well. In a major development in the Epstein investigation tonight, Attorney General Pam Bondi announced a new Justice Department inquiry into previously unreported flight logs and offshore banking transfers tied to Jeffrey Epstein's network. The announcement comes days before the House votes on whether to release the remaining Epstein files. Officials say that review aims to determine whether financial activity linked to Epstein continued after his death and whether additional individuals or institutions may have been involved. That also dovetails with the opening of investigation into figures such as former Secretary of Treasury Larry Summers and former President Bill Clinton, as well as the financial institution J.P. Morgan Chase. So a lot of investigations happening today from DOJ in the Epstein case. And in a major media headline just broke to us about 25 minutes ago, YouTube TV and the Walt Disney Company reached a new multi-year agreement late today to restore Disney's full lineup of channels after a nearly 2-week blackout. The deal brings ESPN, ABC, FX, and other networks back for YouTube's roughly 10 million subscribers. The company said service would be restored immediately, ending a standoff that had disrupted major sports broadcasts and holiday programming. Turning to the business world, Stephen Curry and Under Armour today have officially ended their 13-year partnership. The split comes as Under Armour continues a major restructuring, and Curry's Curry brand is now expected to move forward independently. Analysts say it marks one of the biggest shifts in the athletic apparel industry this year. And with holiday shopping already underway and the holidays around the corner, Target announced it will cut prices on more than 3,000 everyday items, including groceries and household essentials, as shoppers continue to pull back due to high costs. Company leaders say they expect tighter budgets and softer demand across the holiday season. In entertainment today, celebrity medium Tyler Henry revealed he recently underwent his second brain surgery in 6 months after a recurring cyst began swelling once again. Henry says he's recovering well and thanked fans for their support, which sparked broader conversations around stress, health, and public-facing careers. Also in entertainment today, Scooter Braun said he once seriously considered buying OnlyFans during early discussions with the company, but ultimately turned down the opportunity. The revelation sparked instant reaction online, given the platform's massive revenue growth. On social media, the Flip the Camera challenge continues to spread across TikTok. Users ask someone to film them, then suddenly flip the camera to capture that person's unprepared reaction. Safety advocates say the trend can be humiliating and schools are warning families about it as well. Another trend gaining traction is the How It Feels Challenge, where creators pair quick clips with an on-screen text describing small emotional moments. I should know about those. It has exploded across TikTok and Instagram this week as people share funny and relatable snapshots of daily life. Also, Vine might be coming back, folks, so that'll be more for next week. And finally tonight, a warm story out of Phoenix. A community garden that began as a small neighborhood project now provides fresh produce every week to more than 8,000 food insecure families. With a new grant, the project will expand into local schools where students will learn to grow fruits and vegetables and build connections through shared work. Organizers say it has become a source of pride and hope in the entire community. I love, again, just when people can help each other out and really bring healthy, nutritious food. We have so many issues with that in terms of obesity and just people getting access in food deserts around this country.
Yep.
Community stepping up. It just shows what Mr. Rogers always told us. Look for the helpers in every time. So
That's right.
love to see it.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for Tony's list of what to watch. We are still watching for that police press conference on that officer-involved shooting, the breaking news that we led this hour with. We're coming up on 9:15. What we're going to do is we're going to take you out there live. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk what I know everyone at 9:15 on a Friday night has been dying to talk about, and that is math. We are going to talk about math, but there's a major reason why, because apparently some American college students are really struggling when it
Gee, I'm
comes,
shocked
and
by that.
things aren't adding up. We're
The
going to be
math's
back.
not mathing.
We're going to be back to talk all about that with a George Mason professor. We'll be right back.
If it's for me, Chris, yes, I can hear you. It's Padu Seshaya. I'm giving you the first shot. Yeah, I go by Padu. Tell me when I should. Okay, is that good? Should I keep it on? Okay.
There you go. I bet.
All right, welcome back to the Live Zone Primetime on this Friday night. Still keeping an eye out on that police press conference that we're standing by for on that officer-involved shooting in Northwest DC. In the meantime, we did want to move on and talk a little math on this Friday night. And I know on a Friday night, it might not be the number one thing
I mean, not
you
really.
thought we'd be talking about. But in all seriousness, math doesn't seem to be adding up for college freshmen because the need for remedial math is apparently way up. A new report by the University of California, San Diego shows that this year, 1 in 8 freshmen tested below middle school levels in math. Now, I'm no math expert, Tony P, but that's 12.5%.
Hey, that's very well done.
Thank you.
That was like
Took me all day
you
to
broke
do
that.
those
You
numbers.
broke that down like you carried the one. Like I love how you just did that.
Less than 1% 5 years ago in 2020.
What?
Though. So you see how high that has jumped.
Oh my
Researchers
God.
blame pandemic-era learning loss and the university's decision to drop SAT and ACT exams during admissions as part of the problem. But if you think this is just a California issue, it is certainly not. It's an issue nationwide. So for more on the causes, why it's so concerning, and some possible solutions, we wanted to turn to a math expert. Dr. Padu Seshayar is a professor of mathematical sciences at George Mason University, and he joins us now live. Doctor, can you hear us?
Yes, I can, and you can hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Can you start off by talking a little bit about the findings of this report?
Sure. Can I tell you that in the last 10 minutes, I was tracking all the math you both were saying. So everything from bottom third to 43 days of shutdown to 40 airports, disrupted to increase of 10%.
Didn't know we were being graded.
You were
I didn't know we
doing-
were being graded.
Yes. But everything
How we
that you
do?
actually said, everything that you said, where the number goes down to zero, or this somebody's losing revenue, the museums are in a quadrant, to 10 million with YouTube, and so I was just watching all the numbers that you were saying. So you were actually talking math. So I think I just wanted to start with that because making math relevant is super important, and you guys did a good job at that. So I just wanted to start with that. Which I read the report also, and it does observe the knowledge gaps. Actually, go back to elementary and early middle school math, and it's not just a failure of, I'd say, high school algebra or geometry, but it actually attributes to all the factors that you said: COVID-19, to admission changes, to testing requirements, to I think grade inflation was mentioned also in that one. But I think it was about math readiness among college freshmen, and in some cases not being able to do the arithmetic or rounding or basic algebra that everybody should inherently possess. So and I think so it is concerning, because if students are arriving to college missing that foundational math, it's not just about being behind, but it changes their chances of graduating on time, entering STEM fields, even managing day-to-day quantitative tasks and all that. So I think it is alarming to see that this is happening in different universities and all that. So good job on 1 over 8, 1 in 8 and 12.5%. That's great, actually. So.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. So, someone who's more, I'm kind of like a more STEAM type of brain, an arts brain, and I was always scared by math. And a lot of students reflect that across the generations. What do you think are the main couple of things that really scare students into diving more into math? A lot of them give up early when they see a hard problem. What are some of those fears that you think are driving this?
Wonderful question. I think, each one of us is made differently, right? And so we also absorb things very differently. So, so what may make sense to you with pictures may make much more sense to me when I do the math with tools, for example. So I may be a kinesthetic learner, you may be a visual learner. And so I think if there is an opportunity to learn mathematics, not by if you want to master a concept, my philosophy is not to give 100 more problems, but try to do the problem 100 different ways. I think that philosophy should come into schools earlier on. I think that's very important. And then I think making it relevant, as I said, right? So, and in the education systems, most of the time, it's presented as, here is the mathematics, go solve the problem. Now, if you were to change the philosophy to, here is the problem, let's find the math to do it. Like, for example, you wanted to plan for your 4 to 5 day, trip during Thanksgiving, but you're actually mentally planning that. And, in a way, you are actually doing some kind of, math backwards, working backwards, right? So I think those types of things, making math relevant is also very, very important. Now, because of time constraints in schools, and because you have this set of curriculum that you have to finish, and because you have to have an assessment that you have to take, sometimes there's not enough delve into these types of, making math relevant, making math interesting, and all that. So I think there is a great need to bring that type of way we teach mathematics and engage students different way. And so I think I'm a big believer in trying to do, as I said, one problem many different ways. So you could actually address several kids in the same classroom. So I think it's not consistent across the way instruction is given. So I think it's very important. And teachers are trying to do their best. There is also another thing that often happens is a curricular change. For example, California had a whole K-12 mathematics framework. There was a new mathematics framework adopted in 2023, which actually emphasizes on deeper understanding, real-world problem solving, and reasoning behind mathematical concepts. But it takes time for these things to be adopted, and so these kids that are reported here probably did not go through that. They probably went through the traditional way of teaching. So maybe time will tell in two to 3 years. Maybe it'll start to, you will see a new cohort of students coming in who are prepared differently and coming into colleges. So
you
I
gave
think it'll
me
change. So
terrifying flashbacks when you started talking about like travel and math of the two trains that leave stations at different times going different miles per hour, and where would they meet. I'm not going to go down that route, but this is an honest question. I mean, on a day-to-day basis, I know that math is more involved in our lives than most of us realize. When I really feel like I'm actually applying mathematical skills, it's usually when I'm cooking and it has fractions and I'm trying to half a recipe or double a recipe, and I'm working it in that way. But most of us have these at our fingertips, and they can do more than we could ever imagine, more than those TI-83s that we had in high school calculus.
I had the 84.
Oh, fancy.
I always had a one-up them.
So how much are these tools that we now have at our disposal, whether it's ChatGPT, AI, our phones, replacing that daily need to memorize things like the quadratic equation?
That's a wonderful question. And, technology, cell phones can compute for you, but they cannot think for you, right? So if you don't know what question to ask or whether the answer makes sense, the tool is always not going to save you. So, and also mathematics is not just about numbers, right? It's about reasoning. And I think, so we can't just AI our way out of something if we don't understand what the number actually means, right? So, and I think, and in a world full of data, you guys are dealing with data and charts and rates and all that. So being data savvy is very important to be an informed citizen. I think, so the tools are reinforcers. So, it's, think of it as like, did I do it correctly or not? And you don't want to, make a mistake and leave like a, much bigger tip than you thought, but if you can, yes, you can use the cell phone, but maybe, if your finger didn't work properly and you gave like a $22,000 tip instead of $22, of course the waiter is going to be happy. But the thing is, we have to have that human element into the calculations. So AI can be your thought partner, but then we still have to be the one that will reason out if the thought makes sense. So I think that's very, very important in my opinion. So, but I'm all for using AI, but as a friend, but we still have to check what we are doing. The reasonableness is very, very important, I think. So,
what do you think is the policy response from federal governments, from state governments who administer a lot of our education in the United States, to really bring us back from that COVID deficit, but also change the curriculum and implement policies and departments that are actually going to make math a bigger component and actually allow students to learn it as opposed to just copy and memorize it for a test?
I think it's very important. As I said, California, just like other states, is committed to excellence in math teaching, and and learning, but it's going to happen only through curricular and instructional approaches, right? That's grounded in research and how we actually engage the students. So I think uh, all the states are trying to make sure that when they introduce a new curricular reform, it is more problem based. It gives opportunity for inquiry based approaches, experiential learning, and all those words that I just said. It's very easy to probably implement in a science class. But if you think about what does experiential learning even mean in a math class, so it could be as simple as going outside and building a garden and then talk about area and perimeter of what you're building and all that stuff. So so maybe the kid likes to build some things, but then as they do that, you're also helping them learn some mathematical context. So I think, and then you mentioned about scaling, like cooking, and I have to put, otherwise your food is not going to taste well. And I think that's an area called proportional reasoning, and then there is something that happens in mathematics, is something called learning progression. So uh, when we grow up, first you need to learn how to add and subtract. And when you add something again and again, so 2 plus 2 plus 2, it becomes 2 times 3, and you go from addition to multiplication, because multiplication is just repeated addition. So this progression that you go from building number sense to computational fluency and then you go to proportional reasoning, and you don't jump to algebra, but you jump to algebraic thinking. I think this type of learning progressions is super important in terms of, and so all the curricular changes are trying to go back and re-envision how we can sequence this, so that when the student is in 8th grade, they realize, oh, I've seen this type of an idea, or they can build on an idea that they already know. I think so far it was more about everything was a new concept, but that connection was not explicitly made. It was implicit somewhere.
Right.
And if the teacher is not going to talk about it, then you just think everything is new. Every subject is new. So and I can think about several concepts, right? If you do calculus, you call it rate of change. Something changes with something, and they say, and in middle school it becomes slope, like, and then slope is rise
Right.
over
Oh
run.
my God. Whoa.
And then rise over run is in
Yes.
kindergarten. You
Yep.
went
Rise
on
over
the,
run.
you came down. That's
Take
a
the
rise over
area.
run. So, and same thing comes to AI, right? So we have 5 senses. Kindergartners and first graders will understand what the senses are and what it is capturing. But then it could be a sense. It could be sensors on a drone later on in life, right? So I think the connections that we need to make across the curriculum is very, very important. And I think the more that is shown, then the kids are going to be excited, and then they're going to go towards what they like to do and all that. So,
Well, I can only speak for myself, but if I had had a professor like you, then I would
Yes.
probably have been a better
Oh,
math
totally.
student.
I would have loved the
Dr.
subject better.
Padu Seshayer from George Mason University, thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight here on the Live Zone Primetime.
thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
All right, we're going to take you back out live to Northwest DC. That's where we are still standing by for that press conference involving a officer-involved shooting. This is in Northwest DC. Still no word on timing when that could get underway. We're going to leave this live picture up. We're going to step away for a quick minute. When we come back, if the press conference has not started yet, Tony and I are going to talk about what's new to stream this weekend, what's new in theaters this weekend. There's a remake in theaters this weekend, and so we're also going to talk about some of our favorite Hollywood remakes as well.
wait.
We're going to hang on this. We'll be back in just a bit. All right, welcome back to the Live Zone Primetime on this Friday night. We are still keeping an eye on that press conference.
Yes.
On that police-involved shooting in Northwest DC. When it happens, we'll bring it to you. It's down there in that tiny box. Over here on the other side, though, is one of my favorite shows of all time. And I'm being slightly sarcastic, but I really do love it.
Okay.
If you don't know it, it's one of the things that's new to stream this week. We are talking about season 3 of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. If you've never seen the show, it follows a group that was responsible for what they call Mom Talk. They're a bunch of moms out in Utah. They're Mormons. They got involved in a soft swinging scandal. If you don't know what that is, I highly encourage you to not Google it at work. However, they got famous because of it. Mega famous. This show is so big, it is even more popular than the Kardashians on Hulu.
That's right.
Not only is it huge, they've expanded. They branched out beyond this show. 2 of the stars, Jen and Whitney, were on Dancing with the Stars. You may have seen them there. And now Taylor Frankie Paul, the de facto leader of this group of moms, is going to be the new Bachelorette as well. So that's one of the new shows out right now. You can catch it streaming on Hulu and Disney Plus now. Okay, so that's just one of the new shows. So
When I think of Disney, I definitely think of...
I know, right? Off to a hot start already. Also new, if you like reality TV, Tiffany Haddish going on a real-life girls' trip. Now, you may remember, Girls' Trip was what her breakout role. That was her breakout role, how a lot of America was introduced to her. This is a reality show where she's going, it's called Tiffany Haddish Goes Off. It's on Peacock. She's taking 3 of her friends with her on a trip across the continent of Africa. Hijinks ensue.
Wow.
But it's a reality show. You can catch that one.
I love that.
Streaming on Peacock now. So those are the reality shows if you're into that sort of thing. If you prefer more normal, let me take this full so you can see it. We'll keep an eye on that press conference in the meantime. It hasn't started yet. The Beast in Me. This is Claire Danes and Matthew Rhys. It's also a reunion between Claire Danes and the showrunner from Homeland. So if you like that show, you might like this.
Got it.
It's streaming on Netflix. She plays a grieving mother, becomes obsessed with her next door neighbor, who also, he's a real estate agent, happens to be the chief suspect in his wife's disappearance. Malice, Prime Video, David Duchovny. We love him from The X-Files.
Oh, yes.
Also, Jack Whitehall. Jack Whitehall plays a male nanny. He works for this wealthy family, and he starts kind of taking them down from the inside. Drama, psychological thriller. Apple TV Plus has season 2 of Palm Royale. This is Kristen Wiig. This is Allison Janney. This is Carol Burnett, Ricky Martin, Laura Dern, star-studded. This is a dramedy, a period dramedy. If you like the first season, you'll probably like the second season.
Cross-generational.
Got a ton of Emmy nominations. And then finally, on Paramount Plus, we have Landman. This is Billy Bob Thornton. This is Demi Moore. This is the oil tycoon drama from Taylor Sheridan. Paramount Plus, first episode streaming on, I want to say, Sunday night. So you can check that one out there. I believe this is Taylor Sheridan's final project with Paramount Plus, because I know there's been some drama over there. But if you like those shows, you'll love that.
Yeah, very similar to Yellowstone. Like a Yellowstone, again, not a spinoff, but in that similar vein. And again, Billy Bob Thornton is one of, I think, my favorite actors, because he mentioned this on the Joe Rogan podcast. I think it was this week, when they asked him about, the acting, and Joe's like, hey, how do you do your acting process? He goes, I don't have a process. I'm not a method actor. I just go out there and be myself, be authentic. And it was such a refreshing answer to hear from a real great, craftsman like Billy Bob Thornton, an Oscar nominee,
guy, for sure.
Great comedic actor too. He has range, and I think
speaking of
that
comedy,
goes to authenticity.
Speaking of comedy, take a look at who we're looking at right there.
Oh yeah, on the Kings.
The one and only Eddie Murphy. This is Being Eddie. This is a new documentary that's streaming on Netflix. Really takes a raw look, if you will, for fans of Eddie Murphy's stand-up, at his life, his career, everything from Saturday Night Live, his huge stand-up career, and those blockbuster movies, Beverly Hills Cop, 48 Hours, and beyond. Shrek. I mean, everyone loves Shrek, right? But
Donkey?
Yeah, I mean, he has done some serious work when it comes to Dreamgirls, My Name is Dolomite, and of course, The Nutty Professor, one of the all-time best comedies of all time. Marissa Mitchell watched it. She absolutely loved it. I need to see it still, but you can catch it for yourself streaming on
love it.
Netflix now. Okay, we also have a few other new movies, not documentaries. I'm going to take this full again. Still keeping an eye on that press conference, though. When it happens, we'll bring it to you. Playdate. This is on Prime Video. This is Kevin James and Alan Ritchson, who you might know from Reacher. Kind of a mix-match duo there. You can catch that one on Prime Video, like I said. For the kids, this is an animated movie. It's the Adventure of a Nighttime is what they call it. It's called In Your Dreams. That's on Netflix. Also on Netflix, getting into the holiday season, A Merry Little Xmas. This is Alicia Silverstone, it is Oliver Hudson, and it is Melissa Joan Hart for all of you 90s kids out there.
I
That
wanna
is
see this.
Some throwback star power. And then we've got a very Jonas Christmas movie. It has been described as sort of a planes, trains, and automobiles involving the boy band brothers. They do a show, they got to get home to their loved ones. Hijinks ensue there as well. So those are all your new
great
streaming
lineup,
options. Tony P.
I gotta tell you,
I hope I did you justice.
I mean, there's 5 ways we can go. So I'll start with the Christmas movies back to back. The Jonas Brothers one. It's giving me the whole. Remember from Family Guy, Kiss Save Santa, that little like movie within a show that they did where Kiss Save Santa. It's kind of what I'm feeling with this. I think they should make a Kiss Save Santa. You know, Ace Frehley, honor of Ace Frehley.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. We should do something like that maybe next year. But
I could see it.
I love these new Christmas movies. I like when there's different type of plot angles. I like the ex-girlfriend and boyfriend motif and this Merry Xmas thing. I think it's a really it always adds a little bit of a layer of rom-com to a holiday season. I love it.
I know Fred Claus is your go-to, but if you're looking for something new, those are your options. New in theaters now I want to talk about. There's 2 major movies. What you're looking at right now is The Running Man, and we're going to talk about in a second. I don't have the trailer for the other one, but it's Now You See Me, Now You Don't. It's the 3rd chapter in the trilogy. This is Woody Harrelson, this is Jesse Eisenberg, this is Isla Fisher, this is Dave Franco, Morgan Freeman. Those have been huge hits. I wouldn't be shocked if the 3rd one is as well. This is The Running Man, directed by Edgar Wright, starring Glenn Powell. This is based on the Stephen King short story. Now, this is a remake, if you don't know, Tony P. Have you seen the original?
Of course I have, yes.
Of course
oh my God, yes.
The original from the 80s with the one and only Arnold Schwarzenegger. Also Jesse the Body Ventura. Here's the thing, Stephen King didn't love this, okay? Stephen King didn't love this. Apparently this new version is a little more faithful to the short story. However, Arnold's version was an absolute classic, responsible for some of the best one-liners in history. It's also one of 2 movies, 3 if you're strictly counting, but one of 2 movies where he uses his iconic "I'll be back" phrase.
That's right.
Other one being Terminator. He brings it back in Last Action Hero, but that movie's kind of tongue-in-cheek. Little meta before meta was a thing.
Look at that. Look at the graphics.
I mean,
this is peak 80s. This is what it looked like.
It is very peak 80s.
Oh, look at the graphics.
I also want to say it's Richard Dawson from Family Feud, the Family Feud host who plays
that guy.
Coleman Domingo plays right there.
Richard.
Was that his name? He was the one who used to kiss every contestant on the lips.
You just took it out of my mouth.
So
I mean, listen, he was a smooth guy. He was smooth.
He was smooth, all right. I don't know if it would fly under today's 2025 standards, but
it shouldn't have flown for sure. But I mean, he was like just rolling around, and he would go like a survey, and he had a smooth delivery.
Okay, so just...
He's in Hogan's Heroes, too. He's in Hogan's Heroes.
We're going to come back to this.
Sorry,
We're going to come back... No. We're going to come back to this in a second. I'm just checking the user comments right now. West Virginia Ben says, loved Eddie Murphy from all the way back to Beverly Hills Cop. West Virginia Ben says, ever see the Simpsons episode where they referred to polygamy as Mormon Hold'em? No, I haven't, but interesting. Molly Salula says that she just watched Merry Little Xmas. That's my wife, by the way. She just watched Merry Little Xmas. She says it was fantastic.
Beautiful. Now I'm going to really watch
West
it.
Virginia Ben. Also for the 80s, check out Ready Player One. Ready Player One was excellent. I love that. Also, West Virginia Ben says, I hated algebra, did summer school once, did great at geometry, but it's been a while.
Ooh, I was the opposite. I nearly failed geometry in high school.
I tried to...
I can't do the shapes.
Yeah, I almost did I'm going to loop this.
Can't draw either. So that's I wouldn't have been a good stadium designer like the HKS team. I would have probably failed in that too.
Here's the thing. So we're taking a look at the Running Man video again. We're getting a little off track. I want to come back to this in a second. But admittedly, I tried to do a math minor in college just because I thought I did very well in high school math. I was on the mathletes team, and that did not go well.
I mean,
And
at least you made it.
It was solely trying to do a math minor in college was solely responsible for me being politely asked to leave the honors program at American University.
Oh.
My deepest, darkest shame. Okay.
I was an accounting major and barely made it through. So
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
it's
a lot more math, my friend.
That was-
for somebody
I
who
mean-
says that they're more arts brained. Okay,
I was more
let's
torture,
get
torture
back
myself.
to The Running Man. We mentioned that it was a remake. I'm going to bring us full for a second here, Tony P. I'm going to do this. I'm going to work on this. Give me 1 second. It's a remake, okay?
Yes.
And that got us thinking about Hollywood remakes. And I wanted to get some of your favorite Hollywood remakes.
I
So
have a
you
few.
you start giving me your list while I work a little
Okay.
behind the scenes magic.
Do I have a list for you?
Okay,
Chris.
bring
Or I'll
it-
call you Professor
bring
Chris
it
tonight.
on. I love
Professor
it.
Chris, I have some things for you. I would start with a Boston classic, The Departed. The Departed is technically
that
a
is
remake.
correct.
It
That
is based
is a
off of
remake.
a wonderful film out of the Hong Kong cinema called Internal Affairs, and it won Best Picture. It was Marty Scorsese's first award for Best Director when he won the Academy Award in 2006. It was given to him by three of his dear, dear friends, George Lucas, Francis Ford Coppola, and Steven Spielberg when they presented the award in 2006. That was a major moment
Yes.
for the great Martin Scorsese.
Very
My
true.
second one would be Ocean's 11 in 2001.
That was
Of
on
course,
my
the
list as
remake
well. Excellent,
Of the
excellent
Rat, of the
choice.
Rat Pack movie.
All right, we agree on
You
that
couldn't
one.
get a better crossover from Frank Sinatra and company to the great George Clooney. So you
George
get any better than
Clooney,
that.
Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, Don Cheadle.
Just
Bernie
class
Mac.
persona- Bernie Mac. May he rest in
Oh
peace.
my God, yes.
True legend, gone way, way too soon.
Correct.
Number 3, A Star Is Born 2018.
I had that on my
Because
list too,
I tell
Tony
you,
P.
Lady Gaga, it was a remake of Chris
Great
Christopherson and Barbara Streisand. We talked about last night.
There was also a Judy Garland version
Yes,
before
there was,
that.
right,
It's
forgot
like the
about that.
third or fourth version
It's
of
a
it.
great. It tells you the story's really good, and each one of those films had a different flair to them.
Yeah.
Had great performances, some Oscar nominations, including a great performance by a very well-known comic who was one of the first comics to sell out arenas, Andrew Dice Clay, who played the father.
Yeah, and also
of-
DC's own Dave Chappelle.
That's
as
right.
his friend.
He's also right. And so some really cool acting, and Andrew Dice Clay did a whole interview series for that and said I actually wanted to be an actor more than a comic. So very interesting.
Yeah, it was definitely
angles there.
a change of pace.
Definitely.
Not what we expected
Definitely.
from the Dice Man.
No, of course, again, he's a very well done actor. He did Blue Jasmine 2013, excellent actor. When you look at the final two.
The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, a little less well reviewed, but
Right, but that was because he was doing his bit.
he was being the Dice
He's
Man.
been the Dice Man. And, very much controversial in a lot of ways.
To say the
But,
least.
again, a very well done actor, I think, in his later years. So, number 4, I have The Fly, 1986. This is a remake
Jeff
of the
Goldblum
1958
classic.
1958 sci-fi B movie. It was a kind of a rough first go at it. The
Mm-hmm.
remake actually was a lot better overall and got more exposure.
Yeah.
And number 5, this is kind of 5A, 5B. But I have Scarface from '83,
Yeah.
remake of the 1932 gangster
Very
classic,
few people know that.
and Heat, 1995, Michael Mann's remake of his own TV movie. It's a unique one of L.A. Takedown. So some really cool, just behind the scenes stories. And I think the best remakes, producer Chris.
Also,
oh, sorry, you go. Yeah.
No. I was
You
just
go, you go.
I noticed a little trend there, Tony P.
What did you notice?
Heat, Scarface, Oceans. What was the first one?
We had. Oh, what did we have?
The Departed.
The Departed.
A lot of like gangster movies.
Well, I mean,
A lot of gangster
I
movies.
can't confirm or deny.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't
La Cosa Nostra.
implying anything.
La Cosa Nostra's alive
I
and well.
wasn't implying anyone.
I know, but
anything.
you were bordering on it.
I was bordering on
like,
it. Yes, I'm just pointing out trends.
How do I
the
make my
mathematician
money
in me.
beyond social
I'm just
media?
it's the mathematician in me. 3:10 to Yuma with Russell Crowe and Christian Bale. If you've never
Love
seen
that.
it, it's one of my favorite westerns of all time. It's a remake. Glenn Ford was in the original back in the day. Sticking with the westerns,
next to me.
The Magnificent Seven, the Denzel Washington
Yes.
remake, Chris Pratt, Ethan Hawke, the original Yul Brynner, and a rogues gallery of huge stars. So sticking with the Western still, True Grit. We talked about it last night. Haley Steinfeld and
Yep, Jeff Bridges.
the incomparable Jeff Bridges as Rooster Cogburn. The original, of course, was John Wayne. It was a out of it wasn't the normal John Wayne. John Wayne was always the hero. Rooster Cogburn is kind of an anti-hero, but I mean, it's the same guys behind. It's the Coen brothers, same guys behind The Big Lebowski, and it's just another one of those career-defining roles for Jeff Bridges.
I mean, and that was the year after he had won for Crazy Heart in 2009. 2010 was when that movie came out.
That's right.
A fantastic performance. What else? What else?
Let's get into some musicals now. West Side Story, not better than the original,
Not
but
even
Steven
close.
Spielberg's updated version of it with Rachel Ziegler and Ansel Elgort.
Yep.
Oscar, it did win the Oscar for the Best Supporting Actress. Her name is
it
slipping
did?
my mind. If you remember, jump in the YouTube comment section. She's the one who said
it?
Angela Bassett did the thing. Sorry for that.
Yeah.
That was terrible. So West Side Story was on my list. And
Really?
then The Producers. The Producers with Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick was a remake of the version with, I want to say it was Zero Mostel, and I believe it was the late, great Gene Wilder. So again, I know we're not necessarily saying better than the original, but just great remakes.
What else you got?
Parent Trap.
Parent 98.
The original with Haley Mills, the updated one with Lindsay Lohan.
Dennis Quaid.
Now-
Played a very good father role.
A couple controversial ones now.
Oh my goodness.
Again, not saying better than the original. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Okay.
The original, obviously,
Right.
again, Gene Wilder. The update, Tim Burton and Johnny Depp. You know, you can have your opinions
I thought
about him.
They were two
They're
distinct.
wildly different.
Yes, and I liked that
Yes,
because
absolutely.
they took
cannot
different views of the role.
You cannot redo the magic
You can't.
that was.
No.
All right, and now a couple horror. It, obviously a remake of the TV movie. Another Steven Spielberg, or not Steven Spielberg,
Stephen
Stephen
King.
King to bring it a little full circle. And then Dawn of the Dead. There were a couple remakes of that, I believe.
Wow. Now let me ask you, if you could pick your favorite one,
My favorite remake?
that was the best done, that actually could have been even better than the original, what would that one be?
From this list, that's a great question. I don't know. I haven't seen the
Am I
Running
gonna
Man
stump
yet.
you?
I can't
Oh my-
know, but
oh,
it's
come
hard.
on.
It's hard to believe. I don't
How
know.
about just the first one that comes to your head?
The first one that comes to my head.
The metal list.
I've never seen the Chris Christopherson Star is Born, but I
Okay.
did think this version with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga was phenomenal.
It was phenomenal. Yeah,
The
I like
music,
that
the
pick.
acting, everything about it was great. All right, I'm
Yeah, I mean,
keeping an eye
it's-
on this
oh,
press
yeah.
conference.
we have some-
We
yep.
see them zooming in, so let's head out there now.
But yes, a minute. You ready?
Hey, Tom.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, let's do that.
You said 2?
All right, so it sounds like they may have just given us the 1-minute warning, so we are going to stay here on this live picture. Looks like they're getting set up for the press conference any minute. Just to recap, if you are just joining us, what we know so far is there was an officer-involved shooting earlier this evening. This is along the 4400 block of Reservoir Road in Northwest Washington, down in the Georgetown area. This is close to Georgetown Hospital. It's close to where M meets Canal, meets Foxhall Road, also near the Embassy of France. If you can picture this in your head, we do know one person was hospitalized. No word on whether it was the suspect. What we do know is no officers were injured. It looks like some officers, detectives, public information officers may be approaching the podium now. We'll listen in.
You guys all good to go?
Everybody ready? All right. Good evening. I am Executive Assistant Chief Andre Wright of the Metropolitan Police Department. We are here to provide an update on an officer-involved shooting that occurred in 4400 block of Reservoir Road, Northwest. I am joined by Assistant Chief Jeff Kopp, Assistant Chief Ramey Kyle, Captain George Donegan. I want to start off by saying any loss of life in our community is tragic, and my condolences to the family of the individual who lost their life today. This information is very preliminary and subject to change. At approximately 6:47 p.m., 2nd District officers responded to the 4400 block of Reservoir Road for a call for a residential alarm. The responding officers were aware that the individual inside of the residence who triggered the alarm was subject of a civil protection order and should not be inside of the residence. Officers arrived on the scene and observed the suspect inside of the home. For over 20 minutes, officers worked to make contact with the subject, repeatedly ordering him to exit the home. A short time later, officers were able to gain entry to the home through an unlocked door. Officers cleared the home and repeatedly gave loud verbal commands for the subject to show himself. As officers cleared the upstairs of the home, the suspect suddenly lunged at the officers with a knife and a screwdriver in both hands. At that time, the officers discharged his firearm, striking the suspect. Officers immediately called for DC Fire and EMS to respond to the scene. Officers also gave life-saving measures, which unfortunately the suspect was pronounced and deceased. No officers were injured at this incident. The knife and the screwdriver have been recovered on the scene. The preliminary investigation revealed over the course of the last 2 months that there were several incidents between the suspect and the resident. The resident applied for and was granted a civil protection order on October the 30th. The suspect was arrested at this location yesterday for violating this very same civil protection order. As per our protocol, agents from the Internal Affairs Division are on the scene conducting an investigation in conjunction with detectives from our Investigative Services Bureau. The case will be independently reviewed by the United States Attorney's Office. The involved officers have been placed on administrative leave per our departmental protocol. I want to thank our officers for their professionalism. This is yet another reminder of the dangers that all of our officers face protecting the residents and the visitors of the District of Columbia. I will now take questions relative to this event.
Can you just one more time describe the relation between the victim and the suspect? You mentioned that this had been going on for 2 months. Just talk about that a little bit if you can in the order that the resident applied for.
So apparently they were co-residents, tenants of the residence, and at some point in time, the decedent started to attack, make assaults, and threaten the resident. And so as a result, the resident went to get a civil protection order. The decedent in this case came back to this resident yesterday and violated that civil protection order, upon which he was arrested. And so when we get the call today for the alarm, officers already are aware of the situation. When we get here, it is in fact the decedent. And as I said, we tried to negotiate the decedent's surrender. Unfortunately, it ended in this manner.
Was the co-tenant inside tonight when this happened?
He was not.
So the suspect was alone in the home?
Yes, ma'am.
For the whole time?
Yes, ma'am.
And so if the suspect was arrested yesterday, did he make bail? How was he out?
I'm not clear on the status of how he was able to get out today, but these are generally charges, unless they're very, very, very violent.
All right, you're listening to the D.C. Police update on that officer-involved shooting in Northwest D.C. Fox Local, you're going over to the Fox 5 News at 10. We'll keep this streaming here. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, as I said, there was a spate of at least 30 days where there were threats made by the subject. The subject assaulted him and threatened to use a dangerous weapon against the tenant. And so all of this led up to the tenant finally going to get a civil protection order to protect himself.
When the officers were inside of the house, I think you may have mentioned that they did identify themselves.
They did.
The suspect was on the second floor. Did you know that the suspect suspect was on the second floor when you guys?
No, we didn't. So the officers had to be very, very professional, very detailed as they started to clear the house. But they also gave loud verbal commands. There was no mistake that these were police officers, A, when we arrived, and B, when we entered the home. And so that's part of our training, to make sure that we're giving loud verbal commands and trying to de-escalate this situation. Unfortunately, as the officers negotiated the second floor, the subject lunged at him with 2 weapons in their hand, leaving the officers, and this happened in close proximity, I mean within feet of each other, leaving the officer no option other than defend himself by using his firearm. I have no evidence to suggest that at this time, but what I can say is it's clearly that the decedent's actions were erratic and illogical.
We'll take one more.
All right, thank you, everybody.